How's it going, everybody? GetWrecked57 here. And in today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you how and what you should be banning based on your rank, starting from gold when you unlock bans, all the way up into what is my peak rank, which is Celestial. So, I'm just going to explain to you guys what you should ban, why you should ban it, how you should go about banning characters in your specific rank, and just giving you a little bit more insight as to why I think you should be banning this and why it could be a problematic character if you don't ban it. Now, I would like to also explain to you guys that I have done many bronze to Celestials, so I have a very good understanding of what is a good ban in each rank all the way up into Celestial, starting from gold when you first unlock those bands. So we're going to jump straight into it and we're going to go from lowest to highest. So we're going to start off with gold. Gold is the rank where you first unlock the ability to ban characters. Now, in gold, bans work much differently than in any other rank. Not in terms of how the actual mechanics work in bans, but what characters are actually good bans in this rank are different from other ranks. So, first things first, in gold, you have to understand that meta doesn't really apply to gold players. It does sometimes, but in most cases, players are going to be just playing what they want to play, and that's it. So, when it comes to banning characters in gold, there is a couple of general characters which are always going to be good bans. And so I'm going to start off with the very first character, which I see banned a lot, and which I personally banned a lot when I was uh grinding through the gold ranks on my bronze celestial accounts, which was Penny Parker. Now, I labeled Penny as absolutely one of the worst tanks in Marvel Rivals. In my tier list that I made, I believe is like a week ago. Um, and I stand by that. Penny is the worst tank in the game. However, that tier list was made from the eyes of Celestial. If I was in Celestial, this is the ranks that characters would be. But in Gold, Penny can be an incredibly strong character because simply players at this rank do not shoot the Penny Nest. Penny is a big glob of hit points that charges your ultimate when her nest is not down. But when her nest is down, she is very hard to kill and she denies a lot of space because any person who walks in her minefield can take 600, 700 damage instantly. So, she is a very viable ban at gold because people do not shoot the nest. Now, if you're a good player, right, like I am, right, when you're grinding through gold and you're playing like a hit scan, like when I was playing Elsa Bloodstone, when I was grinding through gold as Elsa Bloodstone, I never banned Penny because I know to shoot the nest and I have the ability to do that. But if I was saying, like, let's say I'm doing a magic bronze to Celestial, um, I would actually ban Penny, even though I know she's not a good character, because I know my teammates will not shoot the nest, and she's just gonna get infinite value and will never be able to take any more space than beyond her nest, right? So that is a character that is a very viable ban. Another viable ban character is Moon Knight. Even Moon Knight is banned at high level right now because of the amount of damage he does, but he's very good ban at low level as well because Moon Knight is an incredibly low skill character. Um, Moon Knight, you could just hold left click, spam, throw your onk every now and then, spam at the choke. You get your ultimate extremely quick, and then because low level players have slower reaction time, his ultimate is very valuable. And the same principle goes for Squirrel Girl. Um, at low level, Squirrel Girl can kind of just sit at the back of the map and spam down the choke. People aren't going to try and pressure her to kill her. They're just going to kind of just walk into her shots and she'll get infinite value. And her ultimate, since people are not accustomed to shooting things that aren't another player, they will not kill the squirrels. So the squirrels will also get infinite amounts of value. And those three characters in general are characters that I think are actually viable bans at gold elo. Um, like if you want any other characters to ban, I would say just ban characters that are specifically designed to counter yours. So if for whatever reason you want to play Black Panther or Gold, I would ban Thing because Gold players will counter swap you. They they'll counter swap you. They won't be good, but if they go a hard enough counter, it might negate any skill gap you have between the players. So I would say at gold ranks, Penny, Moon Knight, Squirrel Girl, all actually good bans at that rank, just because players are lower skilled and they don't really know what they're doing. And then in general, just banning any characters that in general counter your character, because gold players are going to rely on counter swaps and less on mechanical skill in order to beat you. So now let's go up to plat. In platinum, the bans change a little bit. You can at platinum, in most cases, Squirrel Girl kind of drops out of the question as a bannable character. Um, People started learning, to play LOS. Don't walk into the um, Squirrel Girl's primary fires, and you can kill the ultimate. Same with Penny. Penny still can be problematic for platinum players if again they don't shoot the nest. But in general, once you get to plat, you're at that point where people start to somewhat understand like how to beat certain characters. So plat is when I say when I'm gonna start saying that you would start banning more towards the meta. Now I still think Moon Knight is an incredibly viable ban at this rank because still at this rank, support players aren't the absolute best, and everybody's reaction time still isn't at their peak. So Moon Knight ult still gets a ton of value, and Moon Knight Onk gets a ton of value. So Moon Knight I still think is a very valid ban. But you also get to the point where characters like Gambit and Invis start to be valid bans, right? And even Groot. I've seen Groot banned a lot at Plat as well. All of these are valid bans at this rank. However, I would definitely say Moon Knight is a very, like, almost a must ban character. And if you don't ban it, you pretty much should play it. Just because of he gets infinite value because people don't break the onks as fast as they do at higher elos. And then, of course, this is also this a rank kind of like gold, where you could just ban characters that counter your character, just simply because you know that they'll counter swap you. Now, moving up to diamond, this is where all the now you stop banning characters like you could ban characters that counter your character, um, but in general, um, like if you're gonna ban a character that counters your character, try and ban a really high level, like a really good one, right? So say you're playing Spider-Man, instead of banning maybe Namor or banning, I don't know, like Emma or something, ban like Bucky, because Bucky is a very strong character. Um, and of course, if you want to ban Namor as a Spider-Man, you should just ban Hela, get rid of the team up, and then you get rid of a really, really strong hit scan. Um, or ban Bucky because Bucky's a very strong DPS still, and he's a more higher on the tier list than maybe Namor is alone. Namor alone is not very good, but Namor with Hela team up obviously is pretty good. And then you got to start banning Gambit, right? Gambit and Invis start becoming highly banned characters. Even Elsa Bloodstone right now is getting banned a lot. Phoenix can get banned a good amount of times. So this is the levels where you start banning the really strong characters, where in this elo it's kind of like a must pick or you kind of just lose kind of character like Gambit. So at this elo, this is when you start banning that kind of like more hard meta characters. um and in general, yeah, just you switch up your bans to more meta focused characters. Now we jump up to GM. Like Diamond, is your ban should be more meta focused. But you'll start to notice that at GM you actually start getting like meta bans that you wouldn't even think of at any elo lower than GM. So Magneto actually can get banned a lot. I know Hela and Hawkeye still get banned a good amount. Um, what's her name? Elsa Bloodstone gets banned a ton still. Um, we have Phoenix getting banned. Again, Gambit's a pretty popular ban. So in general, those like six characters, those 5 or 6 characters, are pretty much perma banned at GM, and I agree with them. Groot too, a little bit, but not as much. Honestly, Groot's actually, funnily enough, banned a little bit lower on like on the priority list, compared to something like like Gambit or Hela or Phoenix, anything like that. So I'd say at GM, those are the type of characters that you should be banning because in the hands of GM mechanic level players, they can just run lobbies and it can be a matter of if you don't have it, you will just lose. So those are definitely prioritized bans for GM players 100%. And this is when you start. Penny is not really in the question. Even Moon Knight can stop. Like Moon Knight might still be valuable ban at GM, but definitely not as much as like Diamond, Plat, Gold kind of level thing. And then of course Penny is just a terrible character. Squirrel is a terrible character up here, right? So those bans kind of just go out the window once you reach the GM level. And then finally we have reached Celestial. Celestial is the point at which you enter into high level, potentially even to pro gameplay. Celestial is a rank where bans start to become very specific, and bans can even become target bans. Target bans happen amongst all the ranks. If you have an open profile, they'll Google you to see if your win rate is high, or they'll just see what your most played character is, and they'll ban it. But at high levels, specifically high celestial, even potentially getting into low eternity, target bans actually become very tactical. For example, you'll notice that characters that aren't necessarily the meta of the meta get banned because everybody knows everybody, right? Because there's so little amount of players at celestial or above level. That's the top 1%, even the top 0.01% of players. So everybody knows everybody. They know what each other play and they know what they're good at. So you get to the point where bans start to become a lot more targeted and specific based on which players you're playing against. However, target bans aside, um, Loki becomes a pretty much must ban character. We didn't talk much about Loki in this video, because Loki in general is a very high skill support, and you'll see them a little bit as you're going through the metal ranks and even into like GM, but you won't see him banned at all. But once you get into Celestial, Loki becomes the best support in the game. And Loki, I put Loki as the best support in the game because he is at Celestial. Um, but people in general ban Gambit before they ban Loki in ranks below Celestial. So Loki becomes a very specific ban in Celestial because he's got so much utility and so much survivability that it makes him almost a must pick. If you don't ban him in the higher levels of Celestial. And then another pick that becomes, very banned is Groot. Groot gets banned in most ranks, but Groot becomes a pretty much must ban in these higher ranks because players learn how to play with their Groot and they learn how to isolate enemy tanks with the walls and kill them very quickly. And they also know how to combo Groot ult with other DPS ults really well in order to make sure that they can kill through enemy support ults. So Groot becomes a pretty much must ban as well in these higher elos. And then finally, DPS like Phoenix and Star-Lord even become pretty frequently banned characters because of their ridiculously powerful kits and their ability to farm ults so absurdly quickly that they become pretty much must ban characters, right? Um, you'll see Phoenix get banned a lot because she gets ult extremely quickly and her ult is very impactful. And because of the buff they gave to her like a season and a half or 2 seasons ago, you cannot kill her ultimate. So it's uncounterable. So people start just banning it. Star Lord's another ban because Star Lord in general is a really unkillable character and his ultimate is extremely powerful. Especially if it's comboed with another ult, specifically Gambit ult. And in general, that's the kind of bans that you'll see more at Celestial level. You'll never see Penny ban. You'll never see Squirrel Girl ban. You'll I feel like after the nerfs, you'll very rarely even see Hawkeye or Hela bans, right? You're gonna see mostly Loki and Phoenix and Groot bans. And I agree with it because those characters are extremely powerful, and um, if you don't ban them, they're pretty much a must-play character. So if you don't have a person on your team who plays that character, you could, in general, just lose the game to one of those three characters because you simply don't have one of your own. So I want to wrap it up by saying bans are a good part of this game. They're pretty much vital to be able to remove some of the imbalance in the game by being able to ban characters that are overtuned. However, they can also be very tactical. Um, when it comes to maybe banning characters that would normally counter your character, um, or even, although I don't like it, target banning opposing players by banning a character that they are incredibly good at so that they're not able to play that into your team. So, uh, thank y'all for watching the video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If there's any characters that you would ban in your rank that I didn't mention, or if you think in general the bans that I suggested for your rank kind of lined up with what you ban as well. But I really appreciate y'all for staying to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Have a good day.